Buckle up, because we're merging back into traffic on Radio Nemo's Nemo Nation.
Oh, we are merging back into what is Fastport Studios with Jimmy Mack and Dave Nemo.
What is Fastport Studios is the answer to the Jeopardy question. Where does the Nemo Nation actually emanate from, originate from, stir from? Actually not too far from the birthplace of trucking radio at the old WWL 870 AM studios in the city of, as some people here would say, New Orleans. Welcome back to the city of New Orleans. Dave Nemo, Jimmy Mack here. You know, when we originally set this up, Dave, a while back, we thought we'd have a ton of stuff to talk about, but our good friend Jana Jarvis has been subjected to the waiting game.
I know, right? Yeah, Jana Jarvis, of course, she heads up the Oregon Trucking Association, was on with us a couple of weeks ago, going into the legislative session that was going to answer all of our questions.
And coming out of it.
Yeah, and well, the House did their job, and now the Senate asked for a 2-week delay because one of the guys got sick. So I guess that's all right. Anyway, Jana, good to talk to you. Good morning again.
Well, good morning, Dave. Yes, you're ahead of me. I wasn't sure if you knew that was all happening here in Oregon, but it's been a comedy of errors, I'm sorry to say.
That's truck driving.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. We'll get a chance to kind of recap where we were last time, Jana. The funniest thing was Dave looks at me and he said, we're in stasis. What are we going to talk about? There's still plenty to talk about. But for those people, like I said, you know, a regular radio listener is not somebody who listens every day for 4 hours. Those maniacs are on YouTube and we love them. But for those people who are just kind of catching up to speed, can you take us back to the last time we talked, what you were going into, what you thought you would be coming out of? Can you unpack that for us, Jana? And welcome back.
Absolutely. Yes. No, I'm happy to. Well, this year was supposed to have been the year of a big transportation package in Oregon. And we spent the entire session from January to the end of June working on it. The bill didn't get introduced till the last 3 weeks of the session. It was a disaster. It blew up on the last day of the session, and we sine-died without any kind of transportation package. So a couple of weeks later, the governor called the legislature back into a special session. Was supposed to start on August 29th, and the goal was to pass a minimal transportation package to keep our Department of Transportation afloat and to help our local governments, because every dollar is shared with a city and a county as well, to keep them afloat. And we had some language in the bill that we were very excited about, so we've been working very hard on this all summer long. And so August 29th, we went into the building expecting something to happen, and it started off slowly. The Republicans had a lot of strategies to try to delay the vote. They did not want to support this package. They are very determined to talk about how Oregonians can't afford it, and so they worked very hard to be essentially to obstruct this package moving forward. And the reason that Oregon Trucking Association wanted the bill was because we have been trying to modernize the way we're taxed for about 30 years. We still are the only state left that has this old antiquated weight mile tax system. Mm-hmm. And this bill would have allowed us to streamline that and to introduce a diesel tax. And we were very excited about that. And not only that, we have a constitutional amendment that requires cars and trucks to each pay their fair share. But trucking is overpaying right now about $92 million a year, and cars are underpaying by $92 million. So there's a $184 million delta there that needed to be corrected in this package. So we had a lot of things on the table, and we worked very hard to try to move it forward. And we were able eventually on last Monday be able to move it out of the House. And then it was going to move over to the Senate. And unfortunately, it requires a 3/5 votes. And there are 18 Democrats in the Senate, but one of them is seriously ill. And so it's just been put on hold now, hoping that he will recover enough to come back on the 17th of September for a final vote.
And with all due respect and deference to the senator who got sick, you couldn't make this up, could you?
You can't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You just can't. It could not have been. it could not have been planned in a worse way. There was a lot of talk about why is the governor calling us in over the Labor Day holiday. So there was a lot of dissension over that from both Republicans and Democrats. But I think her objective was to get people in and move it quickly because they wouldn't want to have to hang around all weekend. And unfortunately, that's exactly what we did. We hung around all Labor Day weekend. So
yeah. And you were hanging around. And you're not even in the Senate.
No, but I'm there every day. There are meetings.
I know you were there. Okay, so Chris Gorsuch of Gresham is the person who had a medical procedure last month. He's recovering. So he's not really sick. I don't want to give people the wrong impression there. He had a planned medical procedure, had an operation, and he's recovering. So that's okay. He's fine in that regard. What about the bills themselves, or the bill itself? September 17th. Can it be fooled with still? Can it be modified still? I mean, is it still in play right now, or is it just sitting there waiting for the vote, untouchable?
Well, the House has already sine-died,
right?
Which means they have finished their work. And if the Senate changes that bill, it has to go back to the House for concurrence.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it's possible, but I'm not quite sure how that would work. I don't anticipate there being any changes in what we have before us.
Yes, say no more. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about changes, Dave.
Yes.
We've had enough trouble.
Expect the unexpected. You'll never be disappointed. So, okay. So, bottom line, and of course, this is the second to the bottom line. This is over a $4 billion package, so it's huge, and we've talked through the numbers the last time you were on. But as it stands right now, with the way the House passed it, if the Senate just rubber stamps that, as I guess folks were expecting, is that what folks were expecting?
Yes, I believe that is what everyone's expecting, yes.
And that's usually the way it works out, by and large. Okay, if that happens, what about the association itself? How, it's not 100% win, there's no such thing. What are you looking at? 60% win?
Well, I think there's a couple of key points in this bill that people are misunderstanding. And the first one is...
Jim's laughing at me over here with that question. 60% win.
Well, it was the tone of the 40. It was 40. Give me something.
Well, there's never 100%, Dave. There's never 100%.
Exactly.
That's what negotiations are all about. But there are a couple of key points in this bill. And the first is that I mentioned earlier that we have this constitutional amendment that requires cars and trucks to each pay their fair share. And I believe we're the only state in the nation that has that. So we do this big study every 2 years. We spend $250,000 on this study, and we decide whether or not cars and trucks are each paying their fair share. And trucks have been overpaying for the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
The legislature...
I'm shocked. I am shocked, Jana. I can't believe that they're making trucks pay for the majority of things that everybody else enjoys. You're going to tell me there are animals in the zoo next. I'm stunned. Go on.
To the tune of over $600 million in the last 6 years. It's substantial.
That's $1 million.
So we have been trying to get that fixed.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the issue is you either raise the taxes for cars, or you lower the taxes for trucks, or you raise the cars and lower the trucks, which would have been a revenue neutral. And since they were looking to raise revenue, the only option was to raise taxes on cars. So it holds our fees constant for about the next 4 years, while some of these other taxes are introduced. They're going to bring in the road user charge for electric vehicles. They're going to increase the registration and title fees for cars. The gas tax would go up 6 cents. They're introducing a 0.1% additional cost to the payroll tax to support transit. So there are a number of things in there. There's something in there for everybody to hate a little bit. And I think that's kind of what has guided the conversation around this. But it's a very good bill for trucking, and really we want to modernize our tax system, the way we pay our taxes, but we also want to create equity and fairness in the system, and this is about the only way that could happen.
So I have some numbers in front of me here, Jana, but correct me if I have something that's outdated. But at this point, the gasoline / diesel tax at the pump would go from 40 cents to 46 cents. There's your 6 cents. Registration fee would go up another $42. Titling would go up another $139. The killer, though, and I can't believe people put up with this, the killer is that electric vehicle owners would be required to pay a $30 fee. That's going to break those people.
Isn't that shocking? Yeah.
Unbelievable. That is,
yes.
Yeah.
Trying to bring it. You should listen to the environmentalists talk about how this is so unfair, because they're doing God's work by getting people to buy electric cars. But what they don't recognize is that those electric cars are heavier, they do more damage to the roads, and they don't contribute anything to help upkeep the roads. So introducing the road user charge and introducing some costs for electric vehicles is key if we're going to continue to move forward with new technology in our state. If
there's one thing, I said, is this bill still in play, or can somebody fool with it since the House has passed it? There was a lot of pushback, not so much on the transportation end of this as you might have thought, but because of the payroll tax going from 0.1 to 0.2%. Is that a possibility for a little bit of problem when the Senate does come back?
I don't know. I really don't know. I do know that it's been very controversial. If you look at transit ridership, it has been declining. It peaked in our state in 2012, and it's been declining ever since. And so you can listen to the dialogue that says, ridership is declining. Why are we putting more money into transit? And yet you can turn around in a lot of the communities around the state, not necessarily downtown Portland, but many of the smaller communities around the state, there really are no transit options. So if you're elderly or disabled, there are issues with you being able to get to your doctor and handle the kinds of needs that you would have. And so there's been a real interest in our state in being able to provide more transit in smaller communities across the state as well. And all of that takes more money. So, what a 0.1% is, you'd have to do the math because I haven't done it yet. But if you make $60,000 or $70,000 a year, how much is that? So at the end of the day, there's so many communities where there is no transit, and I think those are the ones that are pushing back, saying, why do we have to pay for something in someone else's community? And I think that the payroll tax for transit is one of those issues that's going to be ongoing. There's going to be ongoing dialogue in the legislative session in the future, because I think that's the key point. Why should everybody have to pay for something that only a few people use? But that issue is going to continue to grow here in a state like ours, which is always trying to move people out of their cars and onto transit. So what nobody ever
irony plays its hand.
Yeah, what nobody stops to think about is if you get out of your car and you take transit doesn't pay for the roads. They don't pay any road use taxes. So if we moved everybody out of their cars, all of a sudden we don't have anyone to pay for the roads. So it's an interesting dilemma that we've presented to ourselves here. But I think that transit tax is going to be an ongoing dialogue, and one of the compromises that came about in the House was they were going to sunset it after 2027, and so there'll be a conversation in the 2027 legislative session in what is the best way to pay for transit. And so I think that will be an ongoing issue, which I will hopefully not have to participate
in. To close out here, and we will have you come back if it's just to say,
If we ever
Yay,
do
they
anything.
pass. Yeah, exactly. You could say one word. Did they do a good job? Yes or no? Thank you, Janet. That'll be fine. But let me ask you this. They were throwing around a number of laying off about 500 or so people from the Department of Transportation. Was that really real? I mean, I don't get that question wrong, but you know what I'm saying. People throw numbers all over the place.
Oh, I know. And originally they were talking about laying off 1,000, but then we discovered that 500 of those positions were vacant, so they really weren't going to lay off 500.
Gotta love it.
So I think that the layoffs around 450 to 500 employees was about correct. And I will tell you that those employees received their notices in July when we didn't pass a transportation package. So there's a number of employees at ODOT that are sitting there wondering if we're going to get this put together or if they're going to be losing their jobs. Yeah, it's very real for them. And they came and testified. Believe me, they showed up en masse when we had the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, go ahead, Jana.
I was going to say, it's frontline workers primarily, too. And I think that's the other point that's difficult to take, is that how come if you're struggling as an agency that you lay off the guy that's going to plow the roads when it snows? You know, why don't you lay off some of your management?
The same guy that closed all the rest areas when COVID hit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to make sure we're all clear on that. By the way, when they said nobody was getting laid off, they meant it. They really meant it. 500 nobodies. 500 people not actually there. Jana is very much here. Jana Jarvis joins us again. It was really great to have you back. I'm sorry that, it's one of those cases where no news isn't good news. Hopefully, as Dave said, we'll be able to get you back. In the meantime, guys, go to otrucking.org. Jana, thank you so much, by the way, for making time.
OR Trucking. OR Trucking.
What did I say? Did I say O Trucking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
OR Trucking.
Oh my, that's wrong. ortrucking.org. Thank you, Jana. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.